Hi everybody, this is Donna Early. I'm back to pick up where I left off on the first video. So at this point, I have JJ in my possession. We left Nanny Glow, Pennsylvania, headed to Tonopah, Arizona. So when we left that Saturday, as tired as I was, and without my medication, and all the stress that I'd been through, I went ahead and drove about 250 miles for 5 hours, and we made it to Hebron, Ohio. The only safe thing to do at that point was to pull over and get me and JJ a hotel room, which I did, and we stayed the night in Hebron, Ohio. The following morning, which was on a Sunday, June the 11th, we got up early and headed out, and I ended up driving 13 hours on Sunday. From Hebron, Ohio, I made it to Collinsville, Oklahoma. I've got a brother that lives there, and I was able to drive that far so that we could spend the night there with Gary, and it wouldn't cost me another hotel room. So me and JJ spent the night there in Collinsville, Oklahoma, and we got up Monday morning then, on the 13th, and continued our trip. I suddenly come down with a urinary tract infection, and if y'all have had those, you know how uncomfortable they are, and it makes it even worse when you're having to drink caffeine and try to stay awake and alert and everything. So we were headed out, and I got just on the other side of Oklahoma City, and the urinary tract infection was so painful. And I was having to pull over every few miles just to go to the bathroom, and just outside of Amarillo, I pulled over at one place, and it was starting to get hot during the day, and I was having to go inside and leave JJ out in the car, and I couldn't take the time that I needed because I was worried about him getting hot. And anyway, there on the outside of Amarillo, I got out, and I'm going to tell you, I went in to use the restroom, and I was in so much pain that I had a hold of the bar there in the restroom to stabilize yourself, and I was about ready just to scream. I was having to fight it because, I was inside a convenience store. But anyway, I was able to get up, and I had put blood through my kidneys. Toilet was full of blood. I looked, and there was 3 tiny little objects in the toilet, and with the pain that I had, it felt like I was peeing razor blades. So I had never had them before, but I had assumed that they were probably kidney stones that I had passed. Anyway, after that, I had the symptoms of just an absolute chronic urinary tract infection. So I found a Walgreens there in Amarillo, and I went through the drive-thru, and I asked the lady to get me some of that Azo Standard, which is a medication that you take that kind of deadens helps with the burn and sting and stuff, and I took it. And every time I'd make a stop to go to the bathroom, I put blood through my kidneys, and it got to the point made it to Santa Rosa, New Mexico, and I just couldn't go any further. There were parts of the trip I don't even remember. I was hurting so bad. So to keep me and JJ safe as possible, I pulled over and got us a room. And I knew I was in trouble. I knew I needed medical attention. so that I could get us on home. And again, doing without my mental health meds and my anxiety medicine, I was just a basket case. And I shot video of me there in the hotel room that I've only shared with a couple of people because it was horrifying to see myself in that condition. But I'd called my brother and I told him, I said, you know, I'm here in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. I'm putting blood through my kidneys. And he, you know, was begging me to go to the hospital. And I said, Gary, you know, I can't go because JJ, I can't leave him alone here in the motel room. Even though he was legally there, I was afraid maybe he'd bark or do something that might cause them to call the cops. And again, we all know what cops do in regards to dogs, so I just couldn't do that. And just so happened that Gary's ex-wife, my sister-in-law, Brenda, was in Carlsbad, New Mexico, which was about 3 hours away from where I was at. And Gary called Brenda and told Brenda, said, you need to get to Donna. She needs to get to the emergency room. And she's got JJ there with her, and she won't go. And so Brenda got in her truck, and she drove 3 hours and made it to the hotel room to sit with JJ while I drove myself to the county emergency room there in Santa Rosa. When I got there, they asked for a urine sample. I went in, and I got 2 drops of blood. I was in extreme pain. And I drank like 5 little cups of warm water to see if I could, you know, get my kidneys to act. And I went in the bathroom then, and I strained myself, but all of a sudden it just cut loose. And when I stood up, the stool was full of blood, and it looked like a little piece of tissue in there. So I don't know if the kidney stones had cut the tissue, and the tissue had blocked the urethra, which my kidneys couldn't, the urine couldn't pass through. And then when I strained, that little piece of cut tissue probably come out. The doctor there at the emergency room wanted to admit me. And I explained my situation. I was traveling. I had a dog in a hotel room, and that I couldn't be hospitalized. And I asked him for antibiotics and prescription strength Azo Standard to help with the burning. Once he gave me the medications, I got the prescriptions filled, and I went back to the hotel room so Brenda could go back home. I had a horrible evening. Very, very painful. JJ was upset, worried about me. I was crying at times, and it was just horrific. But we got up bright and early the next morning, and me and JJ got in the car and we headed home. And JJ became very restless around Flagstaff. He had done the trip just beautifully the whole way, but then suddenly he was rambunctious, and I had to give him a sedative just so that I could finish driving. Of course, Flagstaff's got a lot of mountains and stuff around it, and but we eventually made it back to Arizona. And when I come home, I knew JJ was all right, but I had been so worried about my other babies, my other 6 babies. And when I come in the house, I'd had a young lady coming over to check on them 3 times a day. And when I come in the house, Chloe's separation anxiety must have went through the roof, and she had ripped up some furniture, and I had an old antique trunk that she ripped the leather all off of, and there were poop spots. Imagine 6 dogs being cooped up in a house when they're used to being let out when they need to be let out. I had poop stains. My carpet's ruined in my home. I've tried cleaning it, and it's ruined. My landscape that I had worked so hard to keep my yard looking nice had all fried under the Arizona sun because I wasn't here to water the plants, and I suffered a lot of damages. But the worst thing out of all of this is what it did to my dog. It took him a little while to recover from it. What it did to my other dogs, because I had left them for the first time in any of their lives and was gone from Friday night till that Wednesday morning, or afternoon actually. But all in a nutshell, you know, all the hardships, and that's not everything that happened on our trip back. It was a tough trip. A lot of things happened that, you know, I don't really need to mention or have to mention, but just know that it was hard on me and JJ. So all in a nutshell is I had Lorraine Horvath, who promised to help me get JJ's surgery, which knew my condition, JJ's condition, our situation, and made promises that she did not keep. And it cost me a great deal of money that's going to take me forever to pay back to Dave for the money that he gave me. It destroyed my property in my house from what my dogs had went through, and emotionally it just sent me off the end. I'm not sure I can ever trust anyone else. I will not trust anyone else with my dogs. I will never put my dog through that. And some of you are going to probably ask, well, why would you send JJ 2,200 miles to have surgery done? Well, I was told that he needed the surgery by 4 vets altogether, counting the one in Pennsylvania. And I could tell that he was in pain. There was no way that I could have afforded to have the surgery done here in Arizona, or that I thought anyway. End result, you know, it ended up costing me $3,000 to make the trip, plus all the damages it's done to my house. Doctor visits that I had to make, the hospital visit that I had to make. But the good thing about it was I got my JJ back. And they had no idea that I could do that. And I honestly believe that there was more to this story than helping to get my dog to Pennsylvania, getting his surgery, and helping him get back home. I can't put my finger on it. Too many inevitables. But a very hard trip on me, one that I suffered a lot of damage physically, emotionally, and most definitely financially. But I wanted you guys to know there's more to this story. I have looked into Lorraine's past, and she's had there were charges of animal abuse, running kennel without a license. I talked to several people that she's dealt with in the past involving other dogs in situations where basically she blackmailed people and retained funds that were gone to have had a dog named Prince transported. The second day that I had JJ in my possession, I was following Facebook, and I seen the transport that Lorraine had set up on 2 Old English Bulldogs. It was a male and a female that she was going to have transported from Florida up to Pennsylvania. and she coordinated the transport. And they picked up the 2 bulldogs, and they were full-size English bulldogs, and both of the bulldogs was put into one airline kennel, and that being the plastic kennels, you know, with not much aeration. Now, this was happening around June the 10th, which we all know is a fairly hot time of the year. It's really hot out here in Arizona, and I know living in Florida with the humidity and everything, it's hard out there as well. But the transporter had put both of the bulldogs into the one air kennel to transport them. Transported the dogs in a vehicle that had no air conditioning. So by the time those 2 bulldogs made it to the next leg of the transport, the second transporter, they found the male bulldog dead of heat exhaustion. Yes, the dog died. The female was in critical condition, and they did get her up to Pennsylvania to Lorraine's vet who worked with her, and I guess she's doing fine. Lorraine's vet cremated the male dog, and of course Laurel ended up with the female. And that happened just 2 days after I rescued my dog. So there's a lot of things fishy going on around Lorraine and how she runs her rescue. I haven't spoken to the lady since this happened. I do know that she removed me and a friend of mine, Michelle, who was on that chat. She kicked us off the chat the day that she told me that I needed to come get JJ. In other words, she didn't want it known to all the volunteer transports who give their time and their money to see JJ got to Pennsylvania. She didn't want them to know what was happening. And once I'm able to get everything out, I will be emailing, because I have a list of the log sheet that's got all their emails, and I will be emailing them the link to this video. Those people gave of their time and their money, and they deserve to know that the lady they were doing the transport for is very capable of wrongdoings, and I plan on making it known. Still waiting for my attorney to make a decision if we can recover any of the money that Lorraine's failure to follow through has caused me. I would feel good if I could just recover the money to pay Dave back for helping me out, because without Dave Ramage, I would not have been able to get to my JJ, and God only knows what would have happened to him. I learned a valuable lesson, and I don't trust people anymore. It's sad, but you just can't. So anyway, that's a brief summary of what happened. So now you all know. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to contact me. I'll sure fill you in if you need any proof of anything I say. I've got screenshots showing everything from the time that Lorraine approached me to help me. It shows her promises made to me to get JJ there and back, get a surgeon, get him back home. And I would really warn you in having any dealings with this Keystone Bulldog Rescue or Lorraine Horvath, because obviously they don't always follow through with what they say they're doing. And like I said, I'm not the only one that's had a problem. She's had problems in the past, and I'm sure she's got problems in the future. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for supporting Just for JJ. And I want to say a special thanks to Michelle Morris and Sabrina Elaine. Michelle, knowing my physical and mental condition, stayed on the phone with me for the most of my trip home, talking to me to help keep me awake, to make sure everything was okay. I love you, Michelle. You're like a sister to me, and I will never forget what you done. As far as those who have donated to JJ's fundraiser, I still have like $800 out of the $1,000 that I eventually ended up collecting. I've had to use a couple of $100 for certain needs and stuff that I didn't have money for to help him. He's doing okay. We're getting ready to follow up with yet another x-ray. I think I'm going to have prednisone shots given to him to see if because he's still a young dog. The surgery is pretty invasive, and I've heard a lot of pros and cons about that. And I don't think that I'm going to follow through with that surgery. We'll just play it by ear day to day. But I just want you to know that the funds that I collected for JJ were for JJ. I didn't use them for anything but. And I still have enough money to see that he gets the things that he needs regarding his injury. And I want to thank you all for helping, all those that did help. So I guess this is it. I'm going to end the video, and if you guys have any questions or you want the proof, feel free. I've got nothing to hide, and the only thing that, that I've got to say is the truth and can be backed up with the evidence, and if that's what you need, okay. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm sorry it took so long to get this information out. I still haven't disclosed a lot of it because I'm still waiting on my attorney. Thanks a bunch.